Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2021. And despite all the craziness that's going on around the world, hope all of you are well. You've enjoyed the holiday season and the new year starting well for you.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've posted a video. I think probably at least 3 weeks. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, we are obviously going through the holiday season. Two, we live on the west coast of British Columbia, and winter means rain, lots of rain, and this year has been wetter than most. So it's been, we've been reluctant to want to go out in pouring rain and go camping, though we have done a lot of short hikes and a lot of walks through the local forest. We've been exploring our neighborhood, if you will, close to home. The other challenge for us, and if we had a game called Hike and RV Bingo, and you were to play along on that game regularly, you'd know two squares that unfortunately we often mark off. One relates to the electrical system and the other relates to the batteries. Have been an ongoing challenge for us and continue to be so. So we're hoping we'll be able to get that resolved early in 2021. So the main part of today's video is actually we did get out in 2020, and we wanted to share what we thought were our favorite trips, our 5 favorite trips from 2020 with you, and maybe that'll help you give some consideration to future trips that you may take out in British Columbia.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. So for our top 5, we're actually going to be counting down from number 5 to number 1, and we're also going to probably mention a couple of places that we call honorable mentions that we really enjoyed that didn't quite make it on our list.
Things that are important to us as to whether or not a trip would make it into our top 5, if you will. One is we always look for a nice quiet campground if possible, and then great scenery and views. The other is weather. If the weather's bad, we might be in the nicest campground, but if it rains for 3 days, it's probably not going to make it to our list. And then the other issue for us is access to water for our paddling, so whether we're near a river or some lakes, and then access to hiking trails. Ideally, if they're hiking trails that are in that we can just walk to from our campsite, that's perfect, or reasonably accessible with a short drive. Those are the kind of criteria that generally we evaluate whether we really enjoyed a trip to a particular area.
So without further ado, we are going to start at number 5.
Skihist Provincial Park. Skihist is kind of our go-to park when we're heading off towards the interior British Columbia. It's first come, first serve, which we appreciate. It's nice to not necessarily have to plan too far ahead, and we can just drive by, and usually there'll be a campsite there, which is great. It's great for just an overnight trip from Vancouver. The other thing that we really like about Skihist is just simply the campground.
We've been there a few times and we really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of the reasons why we did was because the campsites are quite nice. I think most of them are very private. There's trees around each site. Some of them, in particular the ones along the perimeter closest to the hill, those are the best campsites that we've actually ever stayed in, and the views are spectacular there. It's quiet. Although you do hear the highway. A little bit. You do hear the trains a little bit as well. But
yeah, in the background, because there's a canyon where the train lines go through. But it's a nice spot. There's hiking trails. There's not really much. There's just a couple of short walks, 45-minute kind of walks. You can cross the highway and go to the day area and look down into the canyon and look at the river and the trains as they go by.
The park itself has a nice bathroom building and with flush toilets and running water taps, but no showers. But the nice thing about the campground is the camp hosts seem to take a lot of pride in keeping everything very homey and nice, and they have hanging flower baskets, and they've even fashioned a little stand-up outdoor shower for people in case they wanted to just have a quick wash up. So that's very thoughtful of them.
Just something to rinse off the dust from a day kind of thing, but still very thoughtful, and the whole campground's just kept really nice and very pleasant. So kudos to the parks manager for Skihist Provincial Park.
Yeah, I think it's one of those places where we really appreciate the fact that it is all first come, first serve, and we hope that BC Parks never changes that, because it's a nice place to go sort of on the fly or in the last minute without having to plan or reserve a campsite.
One of our favorite places to go, and it made it to the list this time in number 5.
So number 4 on our list is Kikomun Creek Provincial Park, and we were there in mid-August in 2020.
It's between Fernie and Cranbrook, so it's in southern British Columbia in the East Kootenays. We were there, I think, once this year and once last year, and we enjoyed both of our trips. What's really nice is they have some very nice campgrounds.
Yeah, there's a few campgrounds. I think there's also a group campground that's on the big lake.
It's actually a reservoir system. So there's paddling. There is some hiking in the area, but it's pretty limited. I think, hour and a half kind of trails, but still very nice, very pleasant.
There is one campground within the park that is actually first come, first serve. So it's nice to have that option as well. But all the other campgrounds are all reservable.
Yeah, so it's quite busy, so you're better off making reservations if you can.
We were lucky to get the site that we did this time, and it was kind of a fluke because we checked online day of trying to find a place to stay, and we found one right on the water. We really enjoyed being next to the big lake because Gordon managed to get some nice paddling.
Yeah, it's a great park. We really enjoyed it, paddling, hiking, and the facilities there are nice too. They've got washrooms and showers, so I think it's a very popular park overall with many people.
And a dump station as well.
Yeah, and an RV dump station. So third on our list is Norbury Lake Provincial Park. It's actually not too far from Kikomun.
It's about 30 minutes from Cranbrook and also about maybe 20-minute drive from Fort Steele Heritage Park.
We actually hadn't planned to stay there. We canceled one of our reservations at one park and we're looking to stay somewhere else and drove by and ended up staying there. Campground, it's all first come, first serve, which again, as we've mentioned earlier, we like. And it did get full every night that we were there. Most of the sites are quite private and pretty quiet. We were really pleased with the spot we had. We had just open forest behind us, which was nice. We really enjoyed it there. I think we spent 3 nights. The other thing that we really enjoyed about that particular campground is there are 2 lakes within sort of a kilometer of the campground. One smaller, one larger, both good for swimming and in our case paddling, so that was a lot of fun.
And there is a trail that goes around the larger lake as well. It's not a very long trail, but it's still, you're able to explore. And also the scenery from the lakes is just spectacular. There is a beautiful mountain range there. You're in the Rockies, so it's just unbelievable.
We really enjoyed going to Fort Steele historical site. That was actually a lot of fun. It's about 15 kilometers away, so a very short drive. So one thing I would note is that there is no RV dump station at Norbury at the campsite. You have to go into Cranbrook.
Yeah, and they do have a free dump station with free fresh water at the Chamber of Commerce / Visitor Center.
Yeah, always appreciate it. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce in Cranbrook.
Yeah. So number 2 on our list, and this one is also a bit of a surprise as well because we had only planned to go for a quick overnight stay there on a route to the Kootenays and the Rockies, was Sun Peaks Resort, which is not too far away from Kamloops, BC.
Yeah, we planned to spend 1 night and ended up spending 2 and really enjoying the trip overall. Some of the nicest hiking we had during our trips this summer. Wonderful wildflowers. Our timing was just perfect where we hit the wildflowers, I think, at their peak. So that was amazing.
The nicest flowers we've probably ever seen.
Yeah. Camping there, very basic camping for RVs. They have a section of gravel at the end of the parking lot where RVs can camp. There's a picnic table and maybe a little bit of grass. Very simple. But you're so close to the mountain trails. If you wanted to go mountain biking, if you wanted to hike up the mountain or take the tram up and go hiking, the village is about a 10-minute walk, and there's some amazing little restaurants and shops right in the village. It's got the energy of a little mountain town. We just really enjoyed it being there.
Yeah, I think it would be great to spend a few days just enjoying all the amenities and the hiking.
The campsites were very basic, but they had some great services for RVs.
Yeah, there is a very nice washroom and shower building, and they're exclusively for RVers, which is really nice of them. And also a dump station and fresh water nearby. So it's just all in all, everything is there, all inclusive, and it's a great place to stay.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
So we get to number 1 on our list, and this one also was a bit of a surprise, and it seems to be a theme of our trips last year is that our favorites are places that we stayed that we didn't plan to stay, and we kind of just happened upon them. So number 1 is the Marquart and Lundbom Lakes BC Recreation Sites Campgrounds.
Yeah, so they're BC Recreation Sites, so they follow under the same rules as BC Parks. But BC recreation sites tend to be very basic, rustic, usually just pit toilets and maybe some picnic tables. And in this case, there was a camp host, though the camp host was the camp host for several campsites. So not just, there was no specific host at the site that we were at, but there was one at Lundbom Lake, as I recall.
Lundbom Lake is probably the largest campground, and it also has an equestrian campground as well there.
Yeah, bigger, more established campground. We ended up staying at Marquart Lake in part because the bigger site was busier, and it was just a little too busy and loud for us, so we ended up at Marquart Lake. Really enjoyed the spot we had. All of the sites are close to the water. We got to look at the lake. There are 3 lakes that are quite close by, so some great paddling. The hiking is limited to sort of walks through some beautiful, sensitive grasslands with wonderful wildflowers, just amazing wildflowers. So it was a really nice trip.
That was another location that had the most beautiful flowers as well.
Yeah, spectacular.
And, yeah, almost as nice as Sun Peaks, but in itself very different but beautiful.
So we just enjoyed being there. It was quiet. We had access to the water for some paddling, some nice walks through the grasslands, just spectacular. Really enjoyed the trip.
Yeah, it's actually not that far from Merritt as well, so all the services are there.
Yeah, you're probably less than a half-hour drive to Merritt, and so you've got services and the ability to look for a dump station or get groceries and other things that you may need.
So that was our top 5, but we also wanted to mention a couple more places that we stayed that we really enjoyed, and
our honorable mentions, if you will.
Yeah, and there were some really nice features about those places, so we thought we'd include those as well.
So first on our honorable mention list was just Yoho National Park, and the reason it ended up on the honorable mention list is simply because we didn't really do much RV camping there. We did a backpacking trip into the mountains there, and it was just spectacular.
Yeah, it was the Lake O'Hara area that we went to.
Yeah, just absolutely wonderful. We can recommend that park. We've stayed in it before. We've had other trips there, and we just love Yoho. There's some amazing scenery, some great hikes, and some probably nice paddling, although I don't think we've ever done any paddling there.
No, but yeah, there's some beautiful lakes there as well. Typically, it's a very busy area. They actually restrict access to the area because it's so busy. You have to reserve a tenting site in advance if you want to stay overnight, or you can book a shuttle bus that takes you into Lake O'Hara in advance as well for day trips. But unfortunately, this past year, everything was different because of COVID. So we ended up having to take our backpacks and walk in for about 10 kilometers on the fire access road. But that in itself was a great experience as well. And we actually really enjoyed the hike up there.
Yeah, it was nice. Certainly recommend whether you hike in or whether you take a shuttle in future years or simply camping in Yoho National Park anywhere in an RV. It's just a wonderful place.
Yeah, the scenery is just spectacular. You can't beat it.
So next on our honorable mention list is a regular of ours, and that's EC Manning Park.
Our recurrent favorites.
Yeah, it's just Manning Park for us is just a great place to go. There's several campsites there. Some of them are fully reserved. Some of them are a mix of reservation and first come, first serve. But there's paddling, there's like unlimited hiking. It's just an amazing place to go, and we couldn't recommend it highly enough as a great place to go and stay with your RV. So those were our favorite trips for 2020. Please let us know in the comments below where your favorite trips were. We'd love to hear where you've gone and where we might want to try at some point in the future.
Yeah, and one of the notable things about 2020 was because of the COVID situation, we really didn't get to travel too far afield. I think that we typically would. But like many of you, we stuck close to home, and we actually found a lot of places near home that we hadn't really known existed, and we really appreciate the opportunity to do that, and I'm sure a lot of you have done the same, exploring your neighborhood and your communities, and that's one of the things that we can take away from 2020.
So as we conclude the video, I guess the question's sort of out there, so what's next for 2021? And I think the short answer to that is we don't know. It's going to be very much dependent on what happens with the current COVID situation. If restrictions are a bit more relaxed and we're able to travel farther in the province, and then we will do so. If the COVID situation gets mitigated further, that we can do more extensive travel, then we likely will. In that kind of a scenario, we'd probably be looking, I think we've talked about a few trips that we'd like to do in the future. One could be to northern British Columbia. We've talked about that a couple of times. We just haven't been able to make it fit into our schedule, but there's just so many great places to go in northern BC that we haven't had a chance to explore, and we'd certainly look forward to that.
And secondly, we thought if we had time, we could try going further east in Canada and maybe to Ontario and go visit the Roadtrek factory.
Yeah, with some nice stops along the
Yeah.
way. We think that could be a really enjoyable trip, particularly if we're able to do that over the summer months.
Yeah. And then maybe later on, probably near the end of the year, if the COVID situation allows, we might try to get down to the U.S.
Yeah, American Midwest and along the coast, if in the fall particularly, I think would be really nice if that would work for us. It'd be great.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up if you did.
And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And we will see you next time. And happy travels for 2021.
Till next time.